Bonjour, relatives. Shangwewe Kamigukoin Indigenous Cause. I'm Jamie Kellicut, and we are here for emotional sobriety. Today it is Friday. We're wrapping up a very long week, and we are so glad that you are here with us. I am here with my colleagues from HIR Wellness Institute. And before we get started, relatives, I would like us to start off in a good way. And we're going to smudge. I have our smudge going. Here's some smudge for all of you. Welcome, relatives. Thank you for being here. Thank you for joining us on this beautiful Friday. Today is our final emotional sobriety, and then we're going to take a break. And each week we share different episodes of our emotional sobriety that we really love. We'll bring out some of our favorites. And as we creep closer to summertime, there'll be some new summer programming coming out. We're not ready to announce that just yet, but just know that we have new things in the works and that eventually we'll come back around with emotional sobriety and we will have a private support group for emotional sobriety. So if you've been joining us and you are local from the area here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, please reach out to us. You can email me at jkellicut at herwellness.org if you're interested in joining our support group. We'll put that into the chat as well. But if this is your first time coming and joining us, welcome. We are so glad that you are here. Thank you for being here with us. Thank you for joining us. I'm our Community Engagement and Indigenous Affairs Director at HIR Wellness Institute, and it is truly, truly my honor to walk this journey with you. I have the pleasure of doing some individual therapy and some support groups and co facilitating and some of the Facebook Lives like this one with emotional sobriety. So I just welcome you. And today we have some awesome things to talk about. We're going to be talking about resiliency today. And before we go into that, I would love it if Xavier, you could bring your voice into this space, and if you would introduce yourself and let us know how are you doing? How you doing today?
Yes, thank you, Jamie. Happy Friday, relatives. We made it. It has been quite the week. Um, so yeah, it's Friday. Happy to be here as always. My name is Xavier Smart, community healer and counselor here at HIR Wellness Institute. I am doing a little bit of everything and I absolutely love it. From support groups to being a mentor to our interns that cycle through, and also doing individual therapy with some of our relatives as well. So definitely in a lot of different spaces and places, and I enjoy, absolutely love being with the community, being able to bring these conversations and realness to the community, providing uh, teachings of how we can deal with stress, educating about mental health and wellness and what that looks like, and just kind of breaking that stigma that's out there in many of our communities of color, around mental health. And just excited to be here and bringing this to all of you relatives. Thank you for being here as always. For those of you that continuously show up and create uh, this sacred circle with us and be in the sacred circle with us. For those of you that are new and this is your first time, as Jamie mentioned, welcome. We're so excited and happy to have you. So, with that, I will pass to our uh, other facilitator and moderator, John.
Yep, thank you so much, Xavier. And Welcome, relatives. Sorry I missed out last week, but I'm here and I'm always happy to be here with Jamie and Xavier every Friday. And just thank you for always joining us. And, I am also moderating every single emotional sobriety. So make sure you kind of comment down below and kind of share with us, anything that you're feeling or, maybe any coping skill that comes up. We always encourage that you share just because everyone can kind of benefit from it,
Mm-hmm.
just because whatever we share may not work for someone else. Something that you're doing that works for you could be beneficial for someone. So just welcome. And as always, we're always glad to be here. And then we also have Avery in the comment. She said, Jamie's back. She said, Happy Friday, friend.
Oh, bonjour. Hi, Avery. Aw, so glad you're here with us. Thank you so much. It's wonderful. Whenever we know our relatives are out there and you're commenting, it just feels so good to bring your spirit into this space and in your voice. So thank you. Thank you very much. And thank you, John. Thank you, Xavier, for introducing yourself. Relatives, we always like to read the meditation for today. So I am walking in recovery. I'm a survivor of sexual assault and domestic violence by multiple perpetrators. And part of my recovery and my healing journey has been to read these meditations. And they've always shown up for me at the right time, every single time. And so the hope is that when we read these meditations, that something with it resonates with you. Something, maybe it was something that you needed to hear today, or just a little reminder that you needed. And so today I was hoping, John, would you be willing to read the meditation for today for us?
Yes, I would love to. And
Thank
then, relatives, I'll also post the meditation into the comment section as well. So that way you can kind of follow along. Just kind of give me a second to post it and then I will read it.
Thank you, John.
So the Elders meditation for today, April 30th, states, modern civilization has no understanding of sacred matters. Everything is backwards. And that's from Thomas Yellowtail Crow. Modern civilization says, don't pray in school. Don't pray at work. Only go to church on Sunday. If you don't believe what I believe, you'll go to hell. Deviancy is normal. Our role models cheat, drink, and run around. These are the people in the news. The news sells bad news. No one wants to hear good news. Kids are killing kids. Victims have little protection. Violence is normal. Leaders cheat and lie. Everything is backwards. We need to pray for spiritual intervention. We need to have guidance from the Creator to help us rebuild our families, our communities, and ourselves. Today, I pray for spiritual intervention from the Great Spirit. Grandfather, we pray for your help in a pitiful way.
Mm. Miigwech. Thank you, John. Thank you for reading that. Relatives, I encourage you, if you feel safe enough, if you feel comfortable, let us know what you think about that meditation today. Is there anything with that that's sitting with you? For me, it's this idea of, for me, it's like connecting back to your spirit, connecting back to your true spirit. And truly, as I've been walking my healing journey, it wasn't until I really started to do the work of connecting to who I am and who my spirit is that I'd started to see things come into, like, they lined up correctly. I'm sort of at a loss for words right now, but it was like not until I really started sitting with that and connecting to who I was and leaning into that things started to make sense for me. Because prior to that, prior to my healing journey, there was a lot of chaos, there was a lot of pain, there was a lot of sadness. And not to say that as I'm walking my healing journey that there hasn't been sadness or that there hasn't been pain, because there has, for sure. And I know that there will be forever, there always will be that possibility of pain and sadness. But things really started to align and started to make sense and started to feel good. So what I was realizing is that my medicine wheel was out of balance. That I wasn't truly in balance. I was sort of blocking off that part of me that was already connected to spirit or energy or God or whatever the word is for you, right? So like we read the meditation, but if there's a word that like sits better with you, that's okay to replace that and put that there. We all have that connection. So that's kind of what's sitting with me. It's just like a reminder of what it's all okay. So I'm also having another reminder that what's happening out in society right now, yeah, we're missing that spiritual piece. If we think about like the way that we were taught how to heal, the way that we're taught about medicine, the way that we're taught about professions, it's not the norm that you can show up to spaces and be connected to spirit as well, and have that be okay to talk about, have that be something that is encouraged, or if it is, it's like it's my way or no way. This is the only way that you can do that or talk about that. And we have there's so much gratitude for the fact that we have the ability at Her Wellness to show up every day with our individual spirits. What does that mean for you? We all are pulled by that. We are all spiritual beings having a human experience. And a lot of these hurts and pains that we're seeing out in the world, it's missing that piece. It's missing that piece of connection with spirit. So that's what's sitting with me with the meditation. What about you, Xavier? What are you sitting with?
Thank you for sharing, Jamie.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. Spirit definitely just has a way, of course, of things just align and the synchronicity of life. Because John and I were having a conversation similar to this earlier. So the whole time he was reading, I was just over here smiling because I'm like, wow, this is wild.
Yeah.
Um, but
Okay, we
there
got to hear about this. What was it? Come on.
there's I 100% agree with this meditation, right? That everything it's backwards, right? We as a society, due to a lot of different things, have lost ways of connecting with spirit, and even understanding that now, like what does that truly mean? Oftentimes you see people, there's at least from my perspective, right, there seems to be this kind of or John and I talked about this trend of like spiritual journey, and kind of it seems like there's this trend of that, right, and gravitating towards things like crystals and smudge and all these different things, but people aren't really understanding the meaning behind it or why they're using it, um and how that still is backwards, right? But ultimately, when we think about what it means to embark on this spiritual journey or connecting with spirit, it's really about being able to um, connect back to your true self, right? And your true being and who you were before society kind of got its hands on you, right? And planted all these doubts and fears and lies and the hurt and the pain, right? Of course, again, we have to experience things, we have to go through life and experience things, and that's just the balance of things. But ultimately, we have lost sight due to society of that spiritual aspect and what it truly means to just be connected to one's spirit and um, allowing that to be at the forefront rather than the ego, right? And the ego is, something again that being filled with doubt, fear, jealousy, greed, whatever it may be, right? Those are all kind of ego traits, and um, being able to just really find those ways of saying like, okay, how can I truly tap into my spirit and my being? And like you, Jamie, it wasn't until for me, I started turning my gaze within and trying to understand myself a little bit better and work through things, right? Got to a point where it's like I am just tired of feeling horrible. I am tired of um experiencing these feelings at such a strong intensity, right? What can I do to help? How can I better myself, right? And view people with love in my heart and view things with love and in light. And it wasn't until I truly took that time to turn my gaze within and gravitate towards things like meditation for me, right? My own personal journey. Everyone's journey is different in terms of how they begin to come back to themselves. And um, yeah, so I just, this meditation is just so on par with, I think, especially just where we are in today's society and world is that, um, being able to connect with spirit and connect with your true self. And um, you'll feel it, and you'll know when you're walking and embracing that. And I think the best way to do that is just slowing down and being able to listen to where you're pulled, right? So if it's like I feel pulled to be out in nature today, listening to that and embracing that. If you're feeling pulled to um you know, take some deep breaths or meditate or write some affirmations or dance. Or, if it's raining and you're like, "Ooh, I want to play in the rain," like it,
Yes.
feeling those things. And that can really allow you to begin to step back into um your true spirit. And I think that again, that understanding that at the end of it all, that the creator is truly with us, within all of us, right? And regardless of your beliefs, that we're all in it together. We're all spiritual beings having a human experience. And um you know our all of our purposes to continue to uplift each other and help guide one another through this experience in a way that's a little bit easier for us to handle, right? Because we're all going to experience pain, we're all going to experience um hurt, and that's okay, right? But being able to depend on one another in a way that um allows us to heal and allows us to feel that love and joy. So those are all my thoughts, and that's where I'm at.
That's awesome. Thank you
Yeah.
so much, Xavier. Thank you for bringing that into this space. That was really beautiful. John, do you have any thoughts? How are you feeling?
Yeah. So again, me and Xavier were kind of talking just something so similar to this, and then now we're reading something like that, which I
I
did not
told you.
know.
They always hit home right when they're supposed to.
Always.
Yeah, and we were kind of talking about how, I was kind of talking more about like, losing religion and having to adapt your religion to this westernized way of view. So then it's that loss of that culture, loss of religion, loss of language and stuff like that, and feeling like you have to conform to this modernized civilization way or a westernized way of thinking. And how I was kind of talking about since coming to her wellness, I started digging deeper into understanding more about my spiritual side and also my cultural side, and just that seeking of understanding, and how that journey has really it has really taught me to heal in different ways that I didn't know before. So I completely agree that, that spiritual and just that cultural factor, because oftentimes, there's a loss of culture even within the Indigenous. And then, like our presentation yesterday when we talked about the similarities between the Hmong community and also the Indigenous, there's so
Yes.
much similarities. There's just so much loss and grief within those both communities. So it's just so healing. And then now reading this, it's just kind of like, wow, I did not know that this meditation was going to talk about that.
Right. Like, who's listening? Okay, okay. You're just gonna drop the meditation when we need it. We
I love
got you. We got you. Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you, John. Thank you. And you're right. There are so many similarities between our cultures. And I actually think that there's more similarities than there are differences. And it is because of colonization
Yeah.
that we have all been pulled apart and then made to think of other people as the other and then forced to choose sides and all this, it's just no. Let's 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 breathe that out.
Yep, yep, yep.
Breathe that out and
Yeah.
let's come back to some of the realities of connecting to our spirit,
Mhm.
reconnecting to our spirit. And I think this brings us beautifully into our topic for today because our spirit has so much beautiful resilience. And today we're talking about resilience and owning our strengths. And we all have them, relatives. We all have strengths. And so we're going to talk about that. And I wanted to remind, so there might be relatives who are here for the first time. If you have just joined us, welcome. We are here for emotional sobriety. And today we're talking about resilience. And I'm being pulled to mention that the fact that we are all here right now talking about this, listening to the same meditation, we're hearing the music in the background, we're seeing each other, we're hearing each other's voices. Some of our relatives are commenting, bringing their voice into this space. Do y'all know what that is? That's CAM, Community Activated Medicine. The people are the medicine. CAM is a term that was coined and developed by our CEO and founder, Leah Denny. She knew that the medicine was already within us. Already within us. So that healing journey that we're talking about, that we've been talking about for many weeks as we meet here for emotional sobriety, a big chunk of it is because we already have medicine within us. It's already connected to our spirit. And then we come together like this in this virtual circle. We are literally healing. We are literally healing ourselves and each other. Every time, every conversation, every time we take a moment and we pause and we see another person, that's Cam. Xavier, would you please bring your voice into this space? And would you get us started with our workbook reading today?
Yes, absolutely. Oh, I gotta
Thank
find
you.
the page. What page? Lost
We're
it.
on we're on page 103.
Okay, there we are. Okay.
And the workbook, you might want to show
All
our
right.
relatives which workbook we're using.
Here it goes. So this is our workbook. Oh, I disappeared. Here it is. This is our workbook, relatives maintaining emotional sobriety during COVID-19 by Tion Dayton. And this book has been so wonderful getting us through this pandemic. Oh
Mm-hmm.
goodness. It has been very helpful.
Mm-hmm.
to be able to just bring this into the space and learn how we can create safety around this time, learn how we can tap into and just talk about the realness of the emotions that we've all been experiencing. Those of us that are in recovery, right? How this time may be extra hard. I'm at home, like there's maybe the stronger urge to drink or use a substance, whatever that is. Um, but this book is really, again, just allowed us to come together in a way that we can be real, talk about the feelings that we're experiencing, how we can deal with those feelings a little bit better. And now it's gearing us up to own our strengths and our resilience that we all have, each and every one of us. And it can be oftentimes strengths aren't talked about, right? It's always, oh, you didn't do this well, or you're horrible at this, and fill in the blank, right? Society hasn't taught us to really talk much about our strengths. It's seen as you're being cocky or bragging, but you know what? Sometimes it's good to just kind of put yourself on a pedestal and say, hey, look, I am good at this and I own it. And
Yeah.
there's ways you can do that in a way that is not overly aggressive or overly confident, right? So yes, today we are owning our strength. So we are all about it today, okay? So
Woo.
that will get us into our reading today. I'm just gonna go through it. We're gonna stop, talk about it, read a little bit more, stop, talk about it. We'll see where spirit takes us today, as always. So
Love it.
resilience. Research on resilience finds that those who thrive in situations that might defeat others have somewhat figured out how to mobilize their supports and make use of them. They have a sense of reality and acceptance about their circumstances, but they are proactive in taking steps to make things better. A resilient person tends to be able to lean into supports that allow them to make the best of a situation. Resilience depends on supportive, responsive relationships and mastering a set of capabilities that can help us respond and adapt to adversity in healthy ways, says Jack Shonkoff, MD, director of the Center on the Developing Child at Harvard. It's those capacities and relationships that can turn toxic stress into tolerable stress. Here are some of the basic factors that appear over and over again as common threads when it comes to understanding what goes into creating resilience. Resilient kids tend to have the ability, the availability of at least one stable, caring, and supportive relationship between a child and adult caregiver, a sense of mastery over life circumstances, strong executive function and self regulation skills, the supportive context of affirming faith of cultural traditions. Stop right there before we go any further. That was I like that. I
Mm-hmm.
like that. Jamie, what are your thoughts? What's resonating with you from that beginning?
Yeah. Thank you, Xavier. Thank you for starting us off with this. You know what's sitting with me is the reminder that even if we've experienced pain and trauma, even if we've had a lot of hardships or adversity in life, that there are these pieces that we might not even realize were there for us, that was giving us the ability to be resilient. So I'm just thinking about, like, in terms of, let's say we experienced childhood trauma of any sort, like any number of them. And if we had, like, a parent or a guardian or a grandparent or an auntie or uncle who was always there for us, right? Like every time they saw us and they were just like super supportive, or even a teacher or a coach or someone, a music teacher, maybe it was a teaching assistant, if there was some adult in our life at some point in time as a child that was like really supportive, that actually built resiliency into us.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe we didn't have the best home life, but yet every time we were at school, we always knew that Mrs. So and so or Mr. So and so or whoever, right, was there, and they were coming up and they were like giving us supportive feedback, or they were reading a story with us, or maybe they just, or maybe it was a neighbor, a neighbor, someone in the neighborhood who like always walked their dog or something, and came out and said hi to us when we were playing in the yard, or walking to school or standing at a bus stop. So it's just that like reminder that just because something bad happens to us doesn't mean that we don't have resiliency. Does not mean that at all. Um, I think that's probably the biggest piece that's sitting with me right now. Just how resilient kids truly are. A lot of times I think people think that, oh my gosh, this happened to so and so, and that means that like they're just doomed for the rest of their life. This is gonna affect them so terribly forever. And or if at all, like, right, I mean, some people experience adversity and they really do bounce back fairly quickly, and don't have the same types of responses to the adversity. And so yeah, I think it's just a really good reminder on just how strong we are,
Mm-hmm.
just how strong we are. And that's not even getting into the idea of, or the thought of, how our ancestors have given us resiliency and how they have passed on their strengths to us. This is just us talking in like right now, or thinking in terms of like our lifetime. Who were those supportive people in our lives? So I think that's pretty cool. It's pretty powerful.
Thank you, Jamie, for sharing. Yeah, absolutely. Definitely a great reminder that um, even if home life was difficult, that there may have been others in our lives that we don't see it as that's helping us build resiliency, but it does. So yeah, definitely. And I think what's standing out to me um, is just this aspect of in terms of resiliency and what it builds, and being able to have those relationships, right? Supportive, responsive relationships, mastering a set of capabilities that can help us respond and adapt to adversity in healthy ways. So those coping skills, right? All these things that um, definitely play a role in creating resiliency, and how that can in turn help turn it from toxic stress to tolerable stress. And I
Mm,
just wanted to touch on that part because, when it comes to stress, I think often as a society, a lot of us, or just because of lack of knowledge, right? We don't think of stress being toxic or tolerable. We're like, stress is stress, okay? Like, I don't want to be stressed.
right.
But ultimately, right, there's this notion of we can't get away from stress. Like, it's always gonna be there, right? But at some point, right, there is where stress can be too much, right, where it's you're not able to um properly cope with it, deal with it in a way that um helps you to navigate a little bit easier. For example, an example of tolerable stress could be having to wait in line for extra like 5 minutes, right? You would one one would in that situation, right? It would be I guess most people would, be a little bit annoyed about it, right? But you'd be able to breathe through it, work through it, and be like, you know what, this is just what it is. Like, I'm just here. Whereas that toxic stress just kind of can be something that builds up over time, right? Stress of not having enough income, stress of this pandemic, it's taking too long. I want to get back to reality. Stress of when the kids going back to all these things, right? That can build up over time. causing us not to be able to bring ourselves back to a state of regulation, and how that can turn into then physical problems, right? Emotional problems where we feel these sensations in our bodies and we're like, oh, my shoulders are so tight, I'm so stressed, I'm so tired. And how all of that plays a role in toxic stress. But again, being able to take a step back and reflect on, who are those supportive people in your lives, and or how has, just reflecting on your journey, and seeing where there's supportive people in your life, where there's certain skills and things that you utilized as a kid that helped you to deal with things a little bit easier. And what are those things now, right? Again, being able to listen to that pull that's inside of you. And again, you'll know what that is, right? When you feel this pull of like, I just need to go outside, I just need to go for a walk, I just need to go for a run, talk to someone, right? Listen to those pulls, right? Because that can be a way of helping. That's that resiliency coming through, right? And showing you like, hey, you got it, you got it, it's in you, right? And leaning into it. So those are my thoughts on that aspect. So with that, I want to pass to John. John, what are your thoughts, and if there's any comments or anything?
I think that you guys both made wonderful instead of wonderfully. I don't even know what to say, but I do have a comment. I'm like Xavier, Jamie both answered it wonderfully, and it just kind of makes me reflect on my journey and how I had that one person, which was my teacher from high school, who really kind of helped me through my tough time and just really helped me develop these skills to kind of really help me through. So it is, finding that one person, or maybe you develop these skills to kind of help you cope during your journey. Because again, life is so hard. Sometimes you learn these skills that you don't even realize that you're doing it to kind of help you cope with certain situations.
Right.
But after looking at it, you're like, wow, I did use this, and this was a coping skill, you know. And it's hard because sometimes when we look at it, we're just like, we're not resilient. We just went with it and we just dealt with it. But
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of what resilience is. Like, you dealt with it in a way, that helps you overcome all those situations. And even sometimes we're still struggling with that, and honoring that too, knowing that again, we're not perfect, and knowing that our past doesn't define our future.
Mm-hmm.
And then we do
Absolutely.
have a comment. I'm not sure how to pronounce the name, so I would just say the initial of the first name is M, and then last name is Caldwell. And she said, "What about the second phase of womanhood, menopause? I'm super emotional at times."
Hmm. Thank you for bringing that into the space. Good question. You know what? I am also into my second phase of womanhood. And, well, I guess I don't know, they call it perimenopausal, I think is what they call it. But I'm very close. And I feel like I'm kind of, I don't even know what's normal or what's not. I haven't talked to enough women yet. And um, so yes, there is going to be changes. There is definitely going to be changes that we as women are experiencing. And if you are experiencing feeling like there's a lot of stress, I would encourage you to reach out to someone that you trust, that you feel comfortable enough to talk with about those sorts of, though whatever it is that's troubling you. You could even reach out to our Cares Warm line, and we have many professionals on our staff that are able to do social and emotional support. For myself, what I have found to be really most helpful is having understanding women who are experiencing the same sort of thing around in my circle. Just even friends of mine that haven't necessarily experienced the same sort of thing, but just knowing that we do have still similarities in kind of how we're feeling, or aches or pains that we're having, or if it was motherhood, or even just talking about sisterhood. I think that's sometimes a lot of what's missing in our communities, is that not enough circles for sisterhood and brotherhood for us to like communicate in that way and talk about issues that are really pressing on our heart and our spirit, things that we're like wondering because maybe we didn't have anybody in our family who taught us about it. I know that I grew up in a family, she didn't like educate me on certain things about my own body or what I would experience in life. And so when you don't have an adult figure to be able to teach you those things, or maybe like elders in the community that are able to express to you what's going to happen in life and certain things that you'll go through, you tend to gravitate towards friends or people out there who may not have the right answers, right? They're all still trying to figure it out. And so everybody's just sort of like, I'm not sure. I think it does cause us to have some fear then of being able to have conversations in the future. So I guess my thoughts on this are to find supportive women who are willing to sit in circle with you and talk about those things. I'm very fortunate here at Her Wellness to have some really amazing, beautiful women that I can sit with and that I can laugh with and cry with. I mean, all of those things are important. You know, sometimes I don't want to make it like a gender thing, but sometimes, sometimes I do want to talk to somebody that maybe understands what I'm going through and what I'm feeling at the moment. And I also want to say I want to bring our male energy into this, because we also have our men around us who are there to support us and to love us as well, and to have our back when we're not feeling so good, and I recognize that not all of our communities are healthy. Not everybody is in that same mindset. And so I just encourage to really like sit with and think about, like, who do I feel safe with? Who do I feel like I could share with, and I could talk with them about how I'm feeling. Cedar tea would be something that I would probably recommend drinking. I love cedar tea. You if you have your sacred medicines with you and just sitting in reflection and prayer, connecting with someone in the community, maybe an elder who could point you in the right direction of someone else to talk to in the community as well. And even finding out, like, when is there going to be grandmother moon ceremonies, who's having the grandmother moon ceremonies, because we have multiple community members who do have grandmother moon ceremonies, and that would be a beautiful time to connect with other women who could talk about exactly what you are asking, and do that in a way that's safe and it feels good and feels like you are surrounded by a sisterhood of women. Thank you so much for bringing that into this space. I love that you asked that, because you know what? We don't always talk about that. And we do need to normalize all of these pieces, right?
Mhm.
I think about the medicine wheel, and I think about all stages of life, and how in each one of those stages there are teachings. And because of colonization, we don't necessarily know those teachings anymore, or we don't know where to go to get them or who to talk to. I know I was raised in Milwaukee, so I was raised in the city, and I didn't have access to cultural ways. I didn't have access to elders who could talk with me about certain things that I was navigating in life. And so I gravitated towards the streets and towards alcohol. I gravitated towards that life, which ended up giving me more pain and trauma throughout life. And so I really do appreciate that, because there is definitely others out there who are going to hear your question and that's going to sit with them, and they're going to likely start thinking about, how can we start having circles? How can we start, finding more ways and more people to communicate with? there are definitely or other organizations out there, grassroots efforts that you can find on Facebook. You can connect, if I'll see your comment on here, so we can connect outside of emotional sobriety. And I would encourage you to email me so that I can talk with you further, and we can figure out ways, and we can find some sisters to hook up and to talk more about this. I think that would be great. So, Miigwech, thank you so much. Thanks, John, for reading that.
There's also one more comment. Yeah. So there's also another comment from Susan. She said, resilience is connection with myself, the creator, and others. And she said, thank you for your sharing.
Oh, thank you,
Thank you.
Susan. Thank you for bringing your voice into this space. That was wonderful.
Yeah, and then she spelled out, she typed out how to pronounce her name. So I'm going to try. Please
Okay.
excuse. I believe it's pronounced Amakanit. She said, thank you so much, Jamie, for talking about this.
Absolutely. You're very welcome. Thank you. I'm so glad that you're here with us. It's really wonderful to have you here with us. And these are the conversations. I mean, all of this is important. We are all walking a healing journey, and we don't have to be in recovery from substances to be needing to heal, right? To be feeling like a pull that says, I just want to learn something different. I want to be able to cope with what's going on. We're all in the middle of the pandemic, so we're all experiencing that together. We're not alone. I want to remind all of us relatives that we're not alone. We're all experiencing this together. And I don't know if for some of you who have been here with us for a while, remember we used to do that box, right? So we talk about the pandemic and how, we're reading these topics, we're talking about the topics, and we're reading through our workbook, and that we're all feeling a little on edge. Maybe some of us are really on edge and just feeling sad and feeling like, missing our families and our friends and doing those things that we used to do. But we'll put it in a box because we know that there's a beginning and there's an end time. There will be a time where we're back doing those things that we've been waiting so desperately to do again. There will be. We're getting so much blessed. I've been able to be fully vaccinated. Many of my family members have been able to be vaccinated. Many of my friends have been able to be vaccinated. So we're getting closer. And we're all learning new things about like health, and we're learning new things on how can we care for one another, how can we respect one another, how can we it's even causing organizations and communities to think about what are our policies around sickness, right? Like people because of fear of losing jobs, they'll go to work if they're sick, because they're like, well, I can't miss work. And so all this stuff matters. Where we're at in our stages of life, all of it matters. It's all a part of our healing journey. And so I say that because relatives, I hope that you feel comfortable enough to ask us whatever you want to ask us, and we will bring that into this circle. And I know, today is bittersweet because we're going to be taking a break. It's like,
I
it, you know,
know.
we love taking breaks every now and then, but at the same time, it's like, oh, bittersweet, because we love these conversations.
Mhm.
We love being able to share like this with all of you. And I want to remind you, relatives, that we will be having emotional sobriety support groups. So if you are interested, no matter who you are, it will be 18 and over, so you have to be 18 at least. But male, female, LGBTQ plus two spirit, multi spirited, whatever that is, however you identify, indigenous, non indigenous, doesn't matter. If you are interested in signing up for emotional sobriety support group, please email me so that we can start that conversation. We will have the workbook. That's what our plan is, to be able to go through this workbook individually and really dig into it, because each week we've just been able to like scratch the surface on
Yeah.
topics. We've
Mhm.
been kind of like going fast forward through, it's like kind of fast food style.
Mhm.
um if I guess if that's the right comparison. You know, it's been a quick journey. Even though
Yeah.
we've been doing this a long time, it's been a quick journey in the grand scheme of things because with the workbook, we haven't been able to really dive into it and really sit with what are you feeling with that? Let's do an activity with that. Let's really
Mm-hmm.
practice that skill.
Mm-hmm.
This has just been like just scratching the surface of
Yeah.
what we can do with emotional sobriety and how we can truly start learning these different healthy coping skills and incorporating them into our healing journey, incorporating them into our life, our daily schedule, and practicing that with each other, and just sharing with each other in circle and having a space where we can support one another. We're just scratching the surface. So that I think that's my final thoughts for today. John, do we have any more comments?
No, but I did kind of put down like, if anyone's interested in joining, please email Jamie. I did put her email down. So,
Great.
and 18 and over. So
Yep.
everyone is welcome. So I
Yep.
did kind of put that down into the comment section just for anyone who, may be on live now, or maybe you've seen it, maybe the next day or so, feel free
Right.
to email Jamie and let us know if you're interested.
Absolutely. Xavier, do you have any final comments, any final thoughts that you want to leave our relatives with today?
Um, this is bittersweet because who gets to go to work and hop on Facebook and
Right.
have conversation about life and healing and normalizing it, making it something that's like, oh, this is just life, like this is what we do, we heal, right? So this is bittersweet, and I am grateful that we have been opportunity to adapt and utilize this platform in a way that allows us to connect with our relatives. And at the core of it, relatives, you truly have that resiliency running through your veins, through your spirit. um, don't let anyone tell you otherwise, that you are worthy of all the healing and all the love that you feel and know you deserve. You are worthy of having that. You can have it. All the pain, the hurt that you have experienced, you don't have to hold on to it. You can let it go, and it's okay.
Hmm.
And know that there are people out there that are willing to hold space for you so that you can let it go and release it. um, that you're supported, not only by people in the seen world, but also the unseen world, the creator, the universe, God, whatever it is that you connect with. You're supported by them as well as your ancestors, um, that are rooting for you 100%. You might not feel that connection or might not be aware, but they're there and they're rooting for you 100%. Um, and again, I am appreciative of being in this space, being able to connect, being able to share and build a community, build this sacred circle. And I'm looking forward to what the next steps, the future, I guess you can say, what it holds for us, as a community, as we continue to move forward, and coming to a new normalcy in this world, um, and just continuing just to tap into our spirits and spreading love and joy. I know it sounds like, ooh, love, joy, ooh, but
I love it. We're
I'm
giving
one
the
of those.
love.
Right, yeah, we love it. We're all about it, right?
Yep.
It's we can truly have that, right? We can have a world that is filled with love, filled with joy, and respectful. That we all go through pain and hurt, and that's just a part of the experience, right? So um those are my final thoughts. As always, so grateful to be here, and um sending lots of love and hearts and hugs and I don't know everything to everyone. So those are my thoughts, my final thoughts, final words.
Oh, Xavier, that was really wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much. John, do you have any final thoughts or words for our relatives today?
Yes, like what you both said, it's bittersweet, but we love being here every Friday, just Cam talking, connecting, and just being here. And thank you everyone for joining us and commenting, sharing. We love all of that. That's what Cam is. And even though we're virtual, we're still connecting through Facebook Live, and we just really appreciate that. And this space wasn't just a space for you guys. We're also here healing in our own journey as well. So that's the beauty of it. We're not perfect. And I love that we come in each week and bring our true self and we talk about true problems and, just understanding that we're not perfect and we're working on our journey as well. And just be kind to yourself on your journey and just know that your journey is so personalized to you and individualized, and that it's not a race. Because I know oftentimes we compare ourselves to other people's journey and we're just like, I want to be on that journey because we're moving along so quickly.
Right.
But just understanding that, everyone's journey is so individualized and personalized, and that what works for one person may not always work for you. And that's okay, because there's so many other things that is waiting for you to just kind of explore and learn more about. So just, it's sad to see that, we're ending, but it's also another chapter for something exciting.
Yeah.
So just kind of keep an eye out and follow us on Facebook. We will post our new programmings and everything. And again, if you are interested in the private Zoom group for emotional sobriety, make sure that you do email Jamie because we will be there.
Mm-hmm. Oh, thank you, John. Thank you so much. Relatives, it has been a true honor to be here with you every Friday for emotional sobriety. And I can't thank you enough for showing up every week and for supporting us in this way. John mentioned that this is not just healing you, this is healing us as well. This is community activated medicine. The people are the medicine. We are all coming together, joining in this virtual circle and healing. Every single one of us. This is exactly what we need across all of our communities and across our globe. And so it's been a real pleasure to be able to be a part of that with you. And I just wish you so many moments of joy and moments of happiness and love and kindness and care. And I hope that you will reach out to us and you will stay connected and continue to show up on Fridays because we will be replaying our favorites, our favorite emotional sobriety on Fridays at 4:30. So you'll be able to check those out and you'll be able to comment still. You can still add comments to them and we'll be checking out the comments and responding back. And so just keep us, keep connected with us because we're not going anywhere. We're just evolving into more beautiful programming that we can offer for all of you relatives. So thank you again, Chimigwech, and we will see you really soon. Take good care of you. Sending you all kinds of love.